Are you guys ready to head off the trails? I'm the Cryptid Huntress, Jessica Jones, and I am ready to take you on a mysterious journey right now. We welcome you to Off the Trails right here on the Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel. If you guys have not hit subscribe yet, please do. We would love to have you guys. Shout out to Bumblefoot for that music. It's still holding up pretty good. I enjoy it. Thank you very much. You guys please follow us on our social media at Twitter, Spaced Out Radio, on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. You guys can find me at thecryptidhuntress.com. That's my website where you can find all of my shows and all of the events I'm going to be speaking at and all that jazz. Okay. If you guys would like to support Spaced Out Radio, you guys please become a member of our Space Travelers Club. That's over on Patreon. Okay. And also we do have a merch shop, basically was set up over on the website. That's spacedoutradio.com. Go to that shop link and buy some merch. It really helps support the cause. Also, if you'd like to support what I'm doing and all my work personally, I have a YouTube channel, obviously. That's the Cryptid Huntress over on YouTube. Please go subscribe there if you have not subscribed already. I have live shows all throughout the week. Especially on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Okay. And that is just, I'm having so much fun, y'all. And so I want to thank everybody for your support. I also have a Patreon. That's the Cryptid Huntress. And I would love for you guys to become a member there too. Okay. Also, to tie up a little bit more business, we have the Spaced Out Radio fan party coming up. That is May the 10th through the 12th in Reno, Nevada. All right. I know some of y'all are going to be there. We had such a blast last year in Las Vegas. And I hope to see you guys in Reno too. We already have the schedule planned out and everything. So Friday night, we're having a big old VIP party. You get your swag bags. And we're going to be broadcasting live Friday night that we're there that weekend. I get to broadcast live again. I can't wait. Okay, y'all. Well, I have a fantastic show for us tonight. I have Dustin Schutta here from Flying Chariots-The Rise podcast. Okay. And so don't forget that right after this show, After Hours has a fantastic program set up for us. Okay. So y'all go over there. I'll see y'all in that live chat later. Okay. But let's get to our guest tonight. Dustin Schutta is a ufologist that has been studying the UFO phenomenon in Wisconsin for the past 12 years. Dustin is one of the hosts from Flying Chariots-The Rise podcast. Dustin is also the custodian of Colonel Wendelle Stevens' photographic archives. Now, this guy is one of the most famous UFO. Now, I'm talking about Wendell Stevens is one of the most famous UFO researchers from back in the day, you guys. And I'm the cryptid girl. So I don't know as much about UFOs as, let's just say, Dave Scott would, okay? But this is going to be a fantastic show. Please help me welcome my buddy, Dustin, to Spaced Out Radio tonight.
Well, hey, how's it going?
Hey, Dustin.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, man. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited. You have some amazing photographs and stuff under your custodianship. And you're not only that, but you have been into ufology for a little while now, okay? And you've had your share of UFO experiences, right?
I have just one.
Just one.
Just one, but it impacted me so heavily where I jumped heavily into the field and finding out that Wisconsin's a treasure trove for UFO sightings. So yeah.
Nice. I figured it must have made a big impact then, because you're deep in it, right? Like in the field, and you have a fantastic podcast, and I've had the pleasure of being on it, okay, once or twice, and it's been a really good time. So tell me and tell the audience a little bit about your background and a little bit about your UFO experience.
Sure. Well, I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin, on the west side. I love Madison. If you haven't been, you should come. It's the UFO hotspot here in Wisconsin.
Oh,
so, yeah. Back in October 19th, 2012, I was at my girlfriend's house on Kendall Avenue. And I just happened to leave her house right around sunset. And I walked to my car, and I so happened to look into the sky, and out of the blue, out of the clouds, came this silhouette of a boomerang, size of a school bus, about 40 feet above the treetops, dead silent, going about 45 miles per hour. Enough where I just look at it for a minute and just be totally shocked. My hair stood up, my butterflies flew out of my stomach. I was like, what the I ran back to my girlfriend's house. It was a total panic. Just like, you just wouldn't believe what I just saw. The fact that it was dead silent, like, just screwed with my head. Because, you see those bombers, but you think, why would a bomber be in Madison? And, like, you would think you would hear a gigantic roar of an engine. And that's what, like, really flipped me out. So, again, after that day, I had to figure out what the hell I saw, and finding out that Wisconsin is a treasure trove for UFO sightings. So,
yeah. Who would have ever thunk it? I mean, Wisconsin, I mean, when you think of UFOs, you think of, Nevada potentially, but we have our fair share of UFOs here in Georgia and all over the South. And we, especially at the Meadow, where my team does a lot of research out in the field, there's a lot of UFO activity, a lot of orbs, a lot of weird stuff flying around in the sky and in the environment that we don't really know what it is. But I've seen some pretty interesting UFOs myself. So they pretty much pop up all over the place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually 3 towns here in Wisconsin that claim to be the UFO capital of the world: Dundee, Elmwood, and Belleville. And all 3 towns have yearly UFO parades where they dress up their cars like UFOs and dress up like aliens and reminisce UFO stories throughout the years of having it over their towns. And then there's famous cases, actually, too. So we can dive into some of my favorite UFO cases here in Wisconsin, if you like.
Yeah, I'd love that. Yes, I'd love to hear about it. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Cool. Let's start with Joe Simonton from Eagle River, Wisconsin, 1961. He was just chilling in his kitchen in the morning, eating breakfast, and he just so happened to look out the window, and he sees this dark metallic flying saucer just come down like an elevator and lands on his driveway. And he wigs out. He's like, what the hell? And he runs out. And right when he walks out, there's a door that opens, and a human, about 5 foot tall. He was wearing a tight blue jumpsuit, and he had very penetrating eyes where, like, Joe can you can look at him like straight in the face without feeling intimidated. Mm-hmm. He's 5 foot tall. He said he looked like an Italian man, and he had a jug, and he was motioning for water, and Joe just grabbed the jug from him and got him water, and he came back, and he noticed there were 2 other men in the UFO. They were over this like flat top, like flameless grill. They were cooking these like pancakes, and the guy who he exchanged the water to, he picked up a few of these pancakes and gave it to Joe. And Joe was trying to communicate with him, get some words going, but there was just dead silence. It was just basically hand motions. And he's like, should I eat this? And he actually took a bite of one of these pancakes, and it said it tastes like a piece of cardboard. And
I would have eaten that.
Right?
Like if an alien or somebody that came out of an airplane, or not an airplane, like a UFO or something like that, I would not take food from anybody like that.
True,
I don't take candy from strangers. You know
what
I mean?
True. Maybe the fact that he looks so human-like, that maybe there's a little bit less hesitance. I don't know. But yeah, so he was, again, just puzzled. And then again, the extraterrestrials left and just shot up like into the sky like a bullet. And yeah, what else happened? Oh yeah, he had those pancakes analyzed by scientists, and they find out that they were regular buckwheat pancakes, but didn't have any trace of salt. Okay. Everything on Earth that's organic has a trace of salt in it because of the oceans. So the fact that like these were made off this Earth kind of makes it kind of like his story kind of makes more sense and makes it truthful. And again, like there's other people who lived in the area, so these, a trustworthy man and I guess people saw lights that night too in the sky.
Okay.
So yeah, that's one of my
So
favorite
that
stories
validated
because.
it. Okay, so that validated this guy, this the spaceship coming down, the guy's getting out with the pancakes. Other people saw the lights. Now, if it looked like an Italian man that got
Right.
out of this thing, do you think this is just asking your opinion? Could this have been some kind of like military program or something? You think, where it was just kind of, you know, I don't know, just some men messing around with
Right, I had no idea. It's to mess with somebody with pancakes. You know, the only correlation that I can like really think about with the exchange of water and then like these little wafer things is how communion came about. Like, how did communion even start? Maybe this was like something holy that came down in exchange with water and wafer. This is an idea.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were referring to Whitley Strieber's communion, but you mean
Yeah,
you mean
yeah,
the religious communion?
right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay. It could be. Absolutely. It's that's really it's really weird, super weird. But I mean, I've heard more weirder stories. Okay, about ETs and stuff. Now, so Wisconsin, is that close? Like, are you guys near the Great Lakes? I'm down here in the
Yeah.
South. Okay. So
Mhm.
not too long ago, we had those UFOs that were getting shot down all over the country. Okay.
Yes,
And one of those got shot down allegedly over the Great Lakes. Now,
yes.
is that close to you?
And it's, it's funny is the two jets that came from Madison, Wisconsin, at the
Oh, they
military
did.
base here.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll be.
yeah.
Okay. Well,
So
that's
they
news.
did shoot something down. I heard. I don't know if it's like an octagon shaped UFO. I heard they were shooting like 3 or 4 of them down. One was like a cigar shaped one
Yeah.
over Canada.
Well, they started off with like that weather balloon or something,
Yeah.
and so the weather balloon, it was just all kind of wacky, all of that stuff. And even this week, okay, we have to bring this up. We're talking about UFOs. There was an incident down in Miami. I know this has nothing to do with Wisconsin right this minute, but just a little commercial break. There was an incident down in Miami where people are talking about potentially aliens coming out of a portal in a mall. Now,
Yes.
what do you think about that? Well, let's just take a little break, a commercial
Sure.
break. Okay,
Sure.
what do you think about that?
That is trippy. Now I seen like all this footage of how many cops were at this mall, and it seemed like the whole state of Florida was there. Yeah, I don't know. And then the people who were there were saying some really crazy stuff, and some of them were taking back what they said, maybe because they were scared that the government might come or
Yeah, definitely. Well, it makes you wonder because a lot of people don't come forward to talk about their experiences, and from what the reports are coming out of that place, the police were at the doors. They weren't letting anyone in and out. They were taking everybody's phones, and they were taking all the pictures out of their phones. It makes you wonder. Okay.
yeah. And it's kind of like Las Vegas. Was it last year
Yeah.
where that police camera caught the blue light coming down, and then shortly after, a Hispanic family calls and the police saying that there's a giant alien in the backyard.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, okay. So, but some people are saying, well, it could be the beginning of Project Bluebeam. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the thing as well, because it's something we keep hearing about, like the fake alien invasion. It's coming. It's coming. And so, which makes it kind of important that you have these photographs now in your possession. Okay. Because people have been documenting, including our military, the U.S. Air Force, have been documenting UFOs for many years. Now, these pictures came from like the 1970s. Am I correct?
1981.
1981. Okay, 1981, and so these things have been documented for a while. I just talked to. I was messaging with my friend Jim Goodall, who might make a guest appearance later, a surprise appearance towards the end of the show tonight. We'll see. But he was saying that he had just sold some of his photographs that he had. And I believe he might have had some photographs that pilots took from fighter jets. This is what I was told today by somebody different, that they were chasing UFOs and the pilots got pictures from the cockpits and stuff. So these things have been documented for a while. It's almost like, well, was all that released at some point to kind of build up to what's happening today, with the disclosure? And now, is it even real? you know,
Right.
I think that's kind of where everybody's head's at right now, especially people who are in the disclosure community. We're kind of wondering, like, what's going on right now.
Sure. And I think a lot of people are predicting this year that we're going to see a lot of alien shit because of what's happening in politics and war in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of eerie at the same time, so I'm hoping they're good.
I know. Well, it's time for disclosure. I think it's time for everything to be disclosed at this point, and let us know. And I know some people say, well, they don't think that the general public is ready for full disclosure, and potentially maybe that's what's going on right now. Maybe there are some events happening. Maybe it's a mix. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's a mix of some Project Bluebeam and some real stuff, kind of mixed in together, just to get everybody ready for
Sure.
the big reveal one day.
Sure. Yeah, the fact that we have reverse engineering all over, like Russia and especially Germany during World War II, what they were doing.
Yes. And so, okay. So getting back to the lieutenant colonel that you have, you're the custodian of his pictures too.
Yeah.
Wasn't he stationed in, well, maybe he was stationed in Alaska. I don't remember. I was doing my research on him. I don't know a whole lot about him, but I do know he was a pretty high ranking official.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the U.S. Air Force. Am I right?
Yep. And a pilot. And yeah, he was in charge with the other people who were in the military that were seeing stuff in the sky at the time. And then he started doing his own independent research. He wasn't really working with MUFON, but yeah, he was working with J. Allen Hynek. Was working with Paula Harris, other close colleagues. I actually got to get to know after getting these photographs and then having them contact me to verify them. It's really awesome. It was an honor to get to talk with them and meet them, and had them on my podcast too. And
amazing. Well, okay,
yeah.
For my audience, okay, we're going to get back to the Wisconsin UFOs in just a second, okay? Because I know my audience is really interested in the lieutenant colonel and these pictures that you have, because you did post them on Facebook, and I got a lot of response from that, from people messaging me about this. So I think maybe we should just cover this first, okay?
Sure.
If we can, or kind of like skip over to it for a minute, because I know I can just feel it. I've got that feeling that my audience is really into this right now, and so. Okay, I want to kind of give a little short bio on Wendell Stevens, okay? Because I do have a little bit of information about his history in the military, okay? So, because I want you guys to know how important this is, okay? This is important. So, Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Air Force retired, Wendell Stevens was one of the world's best-known UFO researchers. He was born in 1923 in Minnesota. He enlisted in 1941 in the U.S. Army. I mean, so this is a long time ago. He enlisted in the Army in 1941, and he was in the Army. He was transferred to the Air Corps in 1942. He served during World War II and was in a classified project in Alaska to photograph and map the Arctic land and sea area where the data collecting equipment on board B-29s detected UFOs. Okay, this was in the 1940s, Dustin. Okay. And they were getting UFOs back then. And then he also went down he served in South America as well. And he retired from the U.S. Air Force in 1963 and worked at Hamilton Aircraft until 1972. Now, he was actively involved in ufology for 54 years. Man, that's a long time. Okay. And he was the director of investigations for the Aerial Phenomenon Research Organization in Tucson, where he retired. He amassed one of the largest collections of UFO photos and investigated a number of contact cases, published more than 22 books, or was published in more than 22 books. And his most famous one was the Billy Meyer case in Switzerland. Okay, so this is a groundbreaker, one of the first ufologists, okay, that I would know of. Okay. So yeah, it's like you're following his footsteps, Dustin.
Yeah, no, I idolized him. I was collecting a lot of his books, so that's one reason why I caught wind of his storage locker is being auctioned out. Like his boxes out of there were being auctioned out. So yeah, I was lucky to win a few boxes that contained about 200 photographs of cases that he worked on personally, and has some of them have negatives to them, and not all the photos are all in series, but I was lucky enough to get some that are a complete series, like the F-117 stealth fighter UFO one. So yeah, that's the most impressive one that everyone's so intrigued and wants to see and get their hands on.
Well, why don't we look at it? Okay, because
Sure.
I would love to show the audience because. And it's so interesting. And I was first of all, I was gonna ask you how you became a custodian of some of those. So you already answered my question.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting that like UFOs have changed. It seems like the shapes of them have changed from the 1950s all the way up to 2024. A lot of them have changed. And this is like more of a typical like 1980s type of a spacecraft, which is interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So explain to me what we're looking at here. What is this?
So this is probably like the F-117 stealth fighter coming in for the first time. And again, we don't know who's taking these photographs. There's rumors that Wendell was the one taking photographs. Who knows if that's true or not? He's not alive to tell us. But yeah, again, the UFO is somewhat stationary, but it's kind of always keeping an eye on that plane. So it kind of has a tip towards the plane as the plane comes in back and forth. There's different swoops to get a different look and glance at what the hell is this chilling in the sky like that. The fact that this is a series of the plane just going in circles, swinging back and forth, checking this thing out.
I mean, these are very clear pictures, and it's so weird because, and I'm not going to say it's weird, but it's interesting about how everything is so blurry these days. And this is from the 1980s, early 80s, and it's so clear. Okay, so clear. We can't get a clear picture of a Bigfoot these days, but back then they had clear pictures.
The F-117 is slightly blurred because it is moving, but the UFO is moving, but very slow. So it's not as blurred and not blurred at all, really much. But yeah, if you zoom in on that the plane, if you can, or if anybody does in general, you'll see there's a slight blur on the plane, as it should, because it is moving at super fast speeds.
Oh yeah.
So again, they're so beautiful.
It is. Yeah. Man, okay. So these are amazing pictures. Super cool. And you don't see that every day, you know. No. So so thank you for sharing those with us here.
Yeah.
And super excited. And I see there's some people in the chat that have actually talked to J Truth Seeker. Hey, I was talking to you last night actually. If I can find that comment, it was saying that he was Wendell Stevens was one of the smartest people he's ever gotten to know personally. Okay.
Oh, cool.
So that's really cool. Okay.
That is cool.
Yeah. But how cool that you are a custodian now. Now, how many of these pictures do you say that you own? And because I know he had thousands of pictures, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I have over like just about 200 that
That's
I got. Yeah, okay. And again, I got one of other out of all those. One case he worked on personally was here in Wisconsin. So I was going to mention that later on, talking more about Wisconsin cases. But yeah, as like talking about full circle, it came back here in Wisconsin, those photographs of this guy who took here in Colfax, Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it. Let's hear about it.
Let me tell you about it. So it was 1978. And Mark Coltrane, who's a police officer in Colfax, Wisconsin, he was on his lunch break, chilling in his car, listening to the radio, eating lunch. And he just happened to look into the sky, and he saw this metallic object zigzagging towards his car. He's just like, "Well, that's super weird." And he just happened to have his camera that was sitting right next to him. He jumps out of the car, and takes a series of photographs as best as he could because the thing was zigzagging. And yeah, I got 2 of the photographs out of the, I think there was originally 6 or something like that. A lot of his work got like separated too. I don't know. But again, I was lucky to have 2 of those photographs. So yeah, that's the story. I think Wendell went and visited Mark and just got more information of exactly what he saw and where he was exactly at and stuff like that.
So you have 2 of the pictures from that incident?
I do.
Ooh, dang
That's
it.
sweet.
Yeah, I want to see them. Do you have them with you right now?
Yeah, I do, but I don't know if I can show them here or not.
Okay, it's okay.
Yeah.
Can you show me? I mean, if you can, we can share the screen if you've got them, but if not, it's okay. But that's that's really cool.
Yeah, I have to dig them out. It's in the photo album.
Okay, yeah. It's okay. It's okay. All right. You can show me later. How about that? Sure. But yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just so many different types and different shapes of them. Some of them, like that one that they got that we just showed the pictures of. You were saying that it was moving slow. Okay, and moving slower than that fighter jet. That was a fighter jet, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah. Okay, stealth fighter.
That looked like a stealth fighter. Okay, so it's a stealth fighter jet. A lot of the times when people see UFOs, we see something that looks like that. They move at the speed of light. They're so fast.
Yes.
So it's interesting that thing was moving slower than the fighter jet.
Yes, and the fact that it's just more stationary, as some UFOs are, just kind of hovering in one spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What do you think? Okay, here's a question. What do you think about UFOs coming and going through portals?
I believe that's very possible. and being underwater too. There's probably underwater portals and other things. Yeah, we have Burlington, Wisconsin here. It's called the Burlington Vortex, where if you go to this place near Burlington, it's a forest area. There's actually a woman, I forgot her name, Mary something, that takes people on tours to this place where you take Polaroid pictures and they come out all swirly and they have orbs coming in and out. And there's other weird things happen there. There's Bigfoot sightings there. There's UFO sightings in that area. But yeah, just because this vortex, that all this craziness, maybe there's portals that, these UFOs or Bigfoot are interacting with. Yeah, very mysterious.
Kind of like that portal they say was in that mall this week, right?
Yeah, right. And there's actually
coming out.
There's a guy named Bob from Poland, Wisconsin, that claimed that UFOs had been landing and hovering over his property for years. So much so where he built a landing port for them. So he even has people come visit his landing port, and he'll tell his stories of like what he has encountered and stuff. So there's a tour. He takes people on tours on his property. It's kind of like the Skidwalker Ranch of Wisconsin.
Oh,
the fact that he made a giant spaceport, like it's huge. Try to attract him.
It's just calling it in though. Like I don't know how comfortable I'd be with having a UFO port anywhere on my property, because the last thing you want to do, take it from me, is call in UFOs to your home.
Right.
I gotta tell you, when I was I'm gonna say this is about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, I got a frantic message from a good friend of mine who's on my research team, and he had a friend who shall remain anonymous, okay, but she had been calling in UFOs and for fun. For her friends when they'd come over to their house, and it was all fun and games until the kids started waking up late for school and they were disheveled every morning. And so they set up cameras around the house outside, pointed at the windows facing outside, and they started picking up aliens, grays, and she was in a panic and didn't know what to do. I don't know why they contacted me. Okay. But I was contacted to see if I could help. And I was like, look, when it comes to ETs, I don't know what to tell you. Quit calling them in, because once you start doing things like that, especially, even when people are doing that CE5 protocol, we do that sometimes with my team out in the field. And you don't know what you're going to be bringing in. And it's just like when you're doing a ghost investigation or any kind of paranormal investigation, when you start calling things in, you get their attention and they might stick around with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another interesting case too here in Mellon, Wisconsin, where the Baker family, this whole family got to see this UFO land right in their driveway. And it was about 6 feet high and it was shaped like a turtle, like these little tripod legs. But yeah, Phil Baker got it pretty close to it, but his wife and kids were all screaming and crying to get away from it. But shortly after he did, it shot it into the sky like a rocket. But again, it was white, but it had like blue and yellow lights that were going around it. And then it had a yellow orb or aura, I should say,
Okay.
around it. Kind of like very, very bizarre. They were all just totally puzzled, but didn't really leave any trace of evidence besides leaving some tracks in the snow. So they did call the police, and they didn't really have much to report besides them just being pretty shooken up by it.
Ooh, that sounds scary.
Yeah, that was back in 1975.
75. Okay. I don't remember what year it was, but it had to have been around the 1970s. Maybe it was even the 60s. I don't know. People in the chat might know, but there was a case where what people called the Kentucky Goblins. Okay.
Yeah.
And it was a case of, it looked like a spacecraft had landed, crash landed basically in kind of in the woods behind somebody's house. And there were a couple of families there. And I mean, those kids, they were basically, the house was surrounded all night by a bunch of aliens and stuff. And they were harassing the family and trying to get in their house. And the men were out there shooting at them. And it was wild. It was absolutely wild. But yeah, they look kind of like aquatic looking aliens or something. But I don't know. The point is, okay, there's been reports of like UFOs and even alien sightings and stuff all throughout these years. I mean, what was the first UFO sighting? I guess it was like Roswell or something. Was that the first crash reported? I would assume.
Yeah, first crash reported one.
Okay.
But yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
Interesting. There's a lot of crashes that we hear about, and alien recovery, and even the we may have a special guest here in the studio, by the way. But there's even reports of crash retrievals with our military and, the U.S. military getting alien bodies and stuff. I mean, we hear about that a lot more often these days. So, yeah. Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, though, with your story.
No, that's cool. I was going to say, yeah. I was going to say, there's another case up in, Elmwood. This is reported by a police officer named George Wheeler, and this was in 1975. So yeah, he just saw this UFO hovering over this, I don't know if it was like a mining area. But anyways, he gets out of his car and gets close to it, and he gets hit with a blue beam, and he just gets knocked out or something. And apparently a year later, he dies. So I don't know if that was his family claims that it might have been because of that. What he claimed got him sick was that him getting shot with his blue beam. So that's kind of mysterious.
Wow. You never know. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen with, I mean, there are reports of the crash retrieval people, going out and getting the crash retrievals and having like alien bodies and stuff. And then people touching those alien bodies, taking them to the hospital. They have to decontaminate the entire hospital. And the person that held the little body passed away.
Yes.
That kind of stuff. So,
yes, I heard that.
Wow. Well, hey, we have a very special surprise co-host up here tonight. I would like to introduce to the show, to Space Out Radio, my buddy Jim Goodall is here, y'all. So we're going to bring up Jim. And so I know, Jim, I was mentioning at the beginning of the show that Jim contacted me yesterday and was saying that he had just sold some of his original photographs and stuff. So in regards to UFOs. Now, Dustin, if you haven't met Jim Goodall before, welcome to the show, Jim Goodall. Our friend, a good friend of Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Happy New Year.
Yeah,
Happy New Year.
Both of you. So
Thank you.
had a fun time last night. It was, we were with Robert Bauer and Terry B, or Mr. B, of course, with Jim Goodall is a good day. There's people who would argue about that.
No, it's a good day, man. You're like the top authority, the person that I know, the one person I know that knows the most about Area 51 and Skunk Works and all that, Jim. You've written so many books, and you were telling me yesterday that you just sold some of your collection of pictures.
No, this was quite some time ago. I was going through a nasty divorce. The company I was president of, the parent company in France pulled the plug on us, and they wouldn't let us buy the technology. So to survive, I sold about a little over 220,000 original Kodachrome slides.
Wow.
Yeah. I look back now and I said, oh, geez, did I have to do that? And part of me says, yeah, I really had to, to survive.
Yeah.
So, but I love taking pictures of airplanes. I love snooping around places I'm not supposed to be. I've had little red dots on my chest.
Oh my!
And I've had a guy came around with his hand on his 9mm, and I told him that he had no jurisdiction on this side of the fence, and he was a rent-a-cop. So, but I have, and the way that started, I have a lot of very, very unique friends. Bob Lazar is one of them. I've known him for 35 years.
Oh, cool.
John Lear, the late John Lear, we were very close for 45 years until he passed away here last year. And then John Andrews from Testers. He's the one who did the Bob Lazar sports model back in the day. And the Dreamland Interceptors, as we call us, there were about 10 of us. And we've been harassed by the local authorities from day one. And one of the funny ones, and this was after they had vacated the Tonopah test range. The F-117s had moved when they went to Saudi Arabia. When they came back, they went straight to Holloman Air Force Base, and allegedly they put Tonopah test range into caretaker status. Well, I know that was a line of crap, because you don't build a multi-billion-dollar facility and after about 5 years, 6 years, you leave and put it in caretaker status. So we observed that there's, instead of 2 perimeters around the flight line, there are 3. This is June of '96. That's a long time ago in real terms. But I'm on the fence line with John Lear. And it's 11 o'clock at night. We're sitting on our lawn chairs. We're watching everything. We have our night vision goggles on. And I see 3 armored personnel carriers coming towards us with their lights turned off. One coming up from the south, from the west, and from the east. And like the loudmouth I am, I stand up and yell real loud, "Hey, we're good guys. We're taxpayers." And all of a sudden we had floodlights on us. I had 3 little red dots in my chest. John had 3 little red dots in his chest. And about the same time, there's a vehicle coming down the public land side of the fence. And this guy comes around John Lear's pickup truck with his hand on his Beretta. And he says, "You're in a restricted area, and I'm ordering you to leave." And I said, "I don't know who you are, but this is public lands, and I don't need your permission to be here." He says, "I'm ordering you to leave. You're in a restricted area." And I pulled the aeronautical map out of my back pocket, which I carry conveniently so I can show these guys where the longitude and latitude of the restricted area is. I said, according to this official government map, the longitude and latitude to the second are where the restricted area is. And if you look at the base of that fence post over there where my buddy's sitting, there's a USGS medallion that gives the longitude and latitude. I'm in public lands, and I don't need your permission to be here. And I can be here for 15 consecutive days without your permission, without anybody's permission. She said, "I want to see some ID." I said, "Who are you?" I said, I'm Captain so-and-so with ASI, stood for Advanced Security, Inc. I said, you're a rent-a-cop, you don't have jurisdiction on this side of the fence. And you could just see his jaws just tighten up. I mean, this guy's pissed. He said, I've been deputized by the state of Nevada to uphold the laws of the federal government, the state of Nevada, Lincoln, Esmeralda, and Nye County. I said, well, good for you. So I want to see some ID. And I said, well, I don't have to show you a squat. But I'll tell you what, you show me yours, I'll show you mine. So he hands me his ASI badge, Advanced Security Inc. badge. I said, sir, that's not a valid form of ID. I need something issued by the state or federal government. And very belligerently, he pulled out his driver's license and handed it to me. And I didn't have these things on. Oh, okay. So I handed him mine. I lived in Minnesota at the time. Lear lived in Vegas. He hands us to the guy, and he goes to the fence. The guy walks up from the south side of the fence, hands our IDs to the guy. This one guy takes it to one of the armored personnel carriers. We still had the floodlights on us and the little red dots dancing around. And the interior light goes on in the probably the supervisor's armored personnel carrier, and I hear loud and clear, "Oh shit, it's Goodall and Lear," and the lights went off, the red dots went away, and they dispersed because they knew they weren't going to intimidate us out of the area. And I've had that experience at Area 51. Over the years. Matter of fact, I was so well known that when I would drive up to Tonopah, that's where the 117s were flying out of, Tonopah Test Range. The head guy would come out. His name was Emmanuel, and say, "Hey, Joe, hey, welcome back to TTR. Watch out for critters. There's rattlesnakes, scorpions, and whatever." So I go out there with my lawn chair and sit back and just watch the activities. It's a lot of fun, but you have to know where you're allowed to be. And actually, as an American taxpayer, this is our country. You're keeping me from seeing my country. That's not fair. There's a lot of things that aren't fair in this world, but that's one of them. But I've had guys just shake their head and Goodall's back,
Jim, I've got a question for you.
Sure.
So Dustin actually is the custodian of some of Colonel Wendelle Stevens' photographs of fighter jets chasing UFOs. Did you know Lieutenant Colonel Wendelle Stevens? I bet you did. Did you? Were you guys friends?
I've heard the name. I never met him. And one of the reasons I said maybe I should come on is that I sold my collection, but that was like 35 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Photos, depending on the subject matter, it's really, really hard to put a price on them because you're going to have to find someone who's willing to pay whatever you think it's worth. Now, if it's a high resolution, if it's one of those gee whiz photos, then you can probably allow NBC or CBS or ABC or Fox or somebody to use it for $2,500 if they decide to use it. I can remember now. This is 35 years ago. I got a call from NBC. We're using your shot of Area 51 from the top of Whitesides, and it's going to be on the program tonight. And I said, well, you didn't ask my permission. Well, can we use it? I said, it's going to cost you. I said, we'll give you $200 for it. And I said, pull it, because I'm not allowing you to use it. And this is the first thing you see with my view of Area 51, and that's how the thing starts. It says, well, it's we're right in the middle. We're ready. It's ready to go in the air here in a couple hours. I said, that's not my problem. Well, how much do you want? I said, $2,500, and that's firm.
Wow.
And he hemmed and hawed. He said, I'm gonna put you on hold for a few minutes. And he said, okay. I said, I want it in PayPal.
Wow.
I want you to pay me in PayPal right now. So I gave him the information and got in PayPal and ping, $2,500 came up, and it said,
Oh,
you have my
wow.
permission to use my photo, but you must give me photo credit.
Mhm.
That's one thing
Wow.
that's irritated me. I've had 10,000 of my photos show up in various publications, primarily hobby publications like from Squadron Signal and whatever, but things are geared towards the model builders, airplane builders. And I don't care if someone uses my photo as long as they give me photo credit, but they didn't. Now, I'm also one of the very few people, or probably the only one on the planet, that scrounged a CIA A-12 Blackbird.
Okay.
And we had to move it from California to Minnesota. Didn't fly, and to go across the country on the road by having, let's say, Worldwide Aircraft Recovery move it, it's going to be $4 a mile, and that's more than we were willing to pay. So I scrounged 2 C-5 Galaxies to move it. I called it the New York Air Guard. And when we got the okay, and he said, General Weaver said, hey, when you're ready, you call Will Hall. So I actually had 2 C-5s to move it. And it's just, it's probably one of the more fun things I've ever done. And, but you couldn't do it today. The rules have changed so dramatically.
Oh yeah, I bet.
But it's, I mean, I'm the type of guy when it comes to our government, I have a stick and I want to poke them every chance I get, just to irritate the hell out of them. Yeah, just because they've irritated the hell out of me over the years. So
Yeah, I do. The government irritates just about everybody, for sure.
Oh
They
yeah.
do. Jim, so Dustin lives in Wisconsin, and where they have a lot of UFO activity up there. He's seen a lot. He's seen one really good UFO. Do you have any advice for Dustin up there? He's a ufologist. He's really, what could you tell Dustin with all of your experience?
If you have if there's an area that you see stuff on a regular basis or more than once, say maybe 2 or 3 times you see it in the same general area, I would invest in a good 35 millimeter digital equivalent digital camera. I have a Nikon D850. It's I think 46 megapixels, and it's a beautiful camera, and I have all my lenses. Because the thing that just drives me crazy is someone will take a picture with an iPhone 5 or an iPhone 6, and all you see is a fuzzy dot. Even when they blow it up, there's no image. It is just a fuzzy pixel is what it is, and that proves absolutely nothing. It could be a drone. It could be swamp gas. Who knows?
Swamp gas.
But if you have a high quality piece of glass and a good digital camera, it's amazing what you can draw out of it. Because I have software that I use when I have a soft image. Maybe it's something I shot 30 years ago, 40 years ago. It was sharp back then, but it's not by today's standards sharp.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some software from a group called Topaz Labs that does absolutely incredible stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So Jim, I saw last night on your Facebook. It looked like somebody had sent you one of Dustin's pictures, actually, and asked your opinion on it. And I have some of these pictures. What do you think about Dustin's pictures here? These are from Lieutenant Colonel Wendelle Stevens from his collection.
Well, I got 8 of those that series of images yesterday, and I went through and I cleaned up just a little marks there. I leveled the horizon, and that airplane you see in the air is not an F-117. That looks like Senior Peg, which was the Lockheed Martin competition for the B-2 stealth bomber.
Very cool.
And I cleaned it up. I hit my sharpening software, and the image of the saucer came up really sharp. I was really pleased.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, these are excellent pictures. I mean,
Oh, they
excellent.
are. I mean, if this is the quality of the stuff you have,
Yeah.
then you have a little gold mine there.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's got the Kodak watermark in the backside of it with the numbers. So everything's legit. And again, it's very clear when you're holding it in your hand. Yeah, they're very, it's beautiful.
The light, the shadows on the saucer appear to be correct and consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be more than happy to help you if I can.
Sure.
I'd
love to have you on my podcast. That'd be great.
This gorgeous woman right over here, actually right over here.
She is gorgeous.
Thank you.
She is.
Thank you.
She's a good dancer too.
You're a good dancer, Jim. Thank you. We danced. Yeah.
Jessica has all my information. If you give it to Dustin,
please.
And email when the program's over. I'll. I don't know if I have any more room on Friends, but on Facebook. But it's Jim Goodall 71 is the full number or name on Facebook, and that's the only platform I'm on really.
Okay.
I've had people, why don't you do a podcast? I said, because it requires an awful lot of work.
It does, yeah.
And I'm running around like I'm a one-armed paper hanger with my hair on fire, 24 hours a day. And I would much rather give my time to say Jessica or to you for an hour or 2 hours or 3. I mean, a couple nights ago, I was on with the crew. I was on with
Heidi.
Heidi.
Yeah.
Oh, Heidi Pop, yeah.
And we went almost 4 hours. She had to drop off, but we went almost 4 hours. It was Robert Bauer, Mr. B, and myself, and Heidi.
Yeah.
It was just fun. And people said, well, how long can you talk? And I said, usually after about 10 hours, I start losing my voice.
Mr. B has been in the chat tonight, I believe. So he was in your earlier.
I mean,
so is Heidi.
I saw you when I first.
Heidi's awesome.
I saw Heidi.
She's been on our podcast too.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. You are.
She is.
I mean, I'm not a type of person who belongs to groups. Sometimes it'll last 6 months, maybe a year. But this community, the UFO crazies, if you want to call it that, and the things that go bump in the night crazies, and the Sasquatches, and Wolfmans and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That you're my people. I mean.
We're a big old weird family. We are. We're just a big old family of a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah, and I was looking at the print or the painting you have behind you. I have that same one, I think.
Wait, are you talking to Dustin or me?
No,
Dustin?
you. Yeah.
Really? Which one?
Right up in the wall behind you.
This one? That one?
That one right there. Yeah.
This is an original painting from like the 1920s of a dark road. But I
have one that looks very similar. There's a moon and
I love that thing. My mom got that at an antique store or something in town from some lady painted it in our hometown. And I love it because it's just like, it reminds me of being out in the woods looking for Bigfoot.
Yeah, that's what this particular one sort of looks like too. So it's similar enough. Of course, that's sort of a spooky scene. It's night. It's a full moon. It's dark. It's in the woods. What kind of creepy stuff is in the shadows? Oh, so it's Goodall. It's Goodall. It's not Sasquatch.
So basically, you're saying that we both have good taste. We like the same kind of art, right?
Yeah.
We have good taste.
No, at one time, I was to become an artist, and I decided I'd much rather eat than starve. So,
an artist. Me too. Me too. So, oh my gosh. Well, you guys, we have come to the end of the hour. Okay. And so I want to thank both of y'all from the bottom of my heart for being here tonight. Dustin, tell everybody about your podcast and where they can find you, please. And then we're going to go to Jim after that.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube and Spotify with Flying Chariots-The Rise podcast with my German colleague, Daniel Beckman. And you can find me on Facebook, just Dustin Schutta, or Instagram, Dustin the ufologist. But yeah, those are my main platforms.
Okay.
Sweet. Awesome. You have a fantastic podcast with some of the best guests. I know I've been a guest on there.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of being on your 100th episode with
Yeah, that's
Maureen.
cool.
Yeah, that was so fun.
And last night, Robert, Mr. B, and myself had the honor to be on Heidi's very first podcast. That was
cool.
hers last night. And
I watched it. I watched part of it as much as I could before I had to go to bed.
she said we're gonna cut it right off at 90 minutes. I said, good luck on that. So we made it to 2 hours.
Energizer Bunny. You can talk all night.
Well,
Totally.
so can Robert, and so could Mr. B. I mean,
Yeah.
it just I think it goes with the age. I've been around long enough. I have enough stuff in between my ears that I can talk forever.
You do, but it
That's
has substance, though. It has substance. And every time you come on our shows, every time you come out and talk to us, we learn something, Jim. So thank you for that.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I
Thank
want to
you.
thank you. Yes, thank you. And you backed up Dustin tonight. You got some major clout because you got Jim Goodall on here.
I know, it's so
You
awesome.
Expected your picture.
Very honored.
Okay.
Very honored.
Yes. So it has been a pleasure, you guys. I want to thank y'all so much for being here. Jim, please come back and hang out with me again soon. Okay.
I would love it.
Will you?
And Dustin, do get hold of me.
Yes, I will. Yes.
And I'll make sure I write your last name down.
Yeah.
I'll get you in touch with him, Jim. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
Okay?
We're definitely having you on our podcast. That'd be great.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
I would
All
be
right.
honored. I would be honored. And Jessica, I can say it face to face now. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. You are
Yes.
so sweet. Thank you
Same
for
to you,
being here
Dustin.
tonight. I'll
It was
see you
my
soon,
pleasure.
Jim.
All
Okay.
right, dear.
Thank you,
Take care.
Jim. Okay. All right. Dustin, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
I'll see you soon. Okay. Everybody go subscribe over to Flying Chariots-The Rise on YouTube. All right, Dustin, you've been an amazing guest. Thank you for sharing those pictures. We'll see you
Yes.
next time.
All right. See ya.
All right. See you, Dustin. All right, y'all. Wow, what a fantastic show, man. That just it just snowballed, didn't it? And I have so much fun here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for being in the chat tonight. Next week on Off the Trails, I have Floyd Wills, who's going to be my guest. He is going to be brand new to Spaced Out Radio, especially, well, at least on my show. And he has written books on the Lovelock Caves, red hair giants. Okay. And hobbits and all sorts of other stuff. So we're going to be talking about giants and hobbits next week on Spaced Out Radio. So until then, you guys, please come see me over on my channel, The Cryptid Huntress. I have some fantastic shows. I might have remote viewed that thing that happened at the mall. Okay, so y'all down in Miami, you guys come hang out with me Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern and on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I can promise y'all I'm going to have some great shows with some great guests. All right, y'all have a great night. Go hang out at After Hours next, and I'll see y'all this week. Bye, y'all.